Hi, I'm Paul Donno. I run a company called One Accounts Online Limited. Just a little bit about us, first of all, and my background. So in 1993, I set up a company called Paul Donno & Co. And we had, after 18 years, we had 400 clients, and I was the sole practitioner. At that point, really, the business was getting a bit too much for me. So I had some things to face, and I thought, well, what do I normally tell my clients? So one of the decisions I made was to merge my business. So I did that in 2012. I merged with a firm of chartered accountants, and we had 900 clients, and I was one of two partners. Very traditional approach, not one that I quite liked. So we came to an agreement, and they bought me out. So in 2014, the start of this year, I went from 900 clients to 15 clients and me working in my bedroom. My wife was well chuffed with that decision. So now, sort of 10 months on, I've got 46 clients, and actually that's now 48 because I had one last night and one this morning. And so it's growing. And my client base is purely online. Part of my agreement with the company that I left is that I only work for clients that are online. So I'm very, very focused with online clients. So in 2013, I got highly commended at the British Accountancy Awards, which I was well chuffed about. And in 2014, so next Wednesday, I think it is, I've been shortlisted for 2 awards. One is the Best New Startup, and the other is Online Provider of the Year. And I've also got Sage's UK Online Provider of the Year this year as well. So I hold a practicing license with the AAT, and I have done since '93, and we're fully regulated, PI insurance, etc. So that's a bit about us. So when I was looking at this, I thought to myself, well, we're going to talk about the cloud and how that benefits your business. But I thought, well, where did I get my first cloud experience, as it were? Well, back 32 years ago at school in the maths department, we used to have this great big roll of paper and a keyboard in front of it, and it was connected to a local, well, I say local, it's probably Loughborough University, I think it was. And we just literally typed on the keyboard, up it came on the bit of paper, and off it went to them, and then they replied back. And I think we exchanged things like, what you got for dinner or something like that. But that was, to me, that was my first sort of, internet connection, as it were. And then, I'm sure some of you in the room will remember these. I managed to persuade my parents to buy me a ZX81 with a 16K extension pack, and we paid Horace go skiing, and it was fantastic. And then we went to ZX Spectrum, so Clive Sinclair upgraded that, made it colour, and that was the first introduction to predictive text, which was actually pre-programmed keys. Then we had the fax machine. What a wonderful invention that was. We could actually send a bit of paper from our office to somewhere else, and we should be able to read it at the other end as long as the thermal thing didn't break up. So, these are all bits that really, really excited me. And then the revolution, the Amstrad PC came along, and we had, I was using Sage Sovereign at the time, and I think it was 15 disks by the end of it, a floppy disk that you put into the machine to upgrade the software, and it took forever. But it revolutionized our extended trial balances, etc. Bit of an idea of my age here. At the age of 24, I got my first mobile phone. When my daughter at sort of 12 or 13, whatever age she was at the time, asked me for a mobile phone, I said, well, I had one at 24, so you've got to wait. Obviously, she got an iPhone for Christmas, so she doesn't really wrap me around her little finger. All of our software has been, up to a recent time, PC-based, and has all been updated via the post. When CDs came into it and then DVDs came into the equation, you only needed one thing then to put in the machine to update. This wasn't that far away. And then 15 years ago, we installed our first state-of-the-art server. Fantastic. We could share files around our office, and the staff had access to exactly the same files. We didn't have to move it along with floppy disks or book out time for our PCs. And that wasn't that far ago, only 15 years. And then the internet, 28K modem, dial-up, that was fantastic, revolutionized everything. We could send an email, as long as it wasn't any bigger than sort of 5K. But, that was the start of the revolution, as it were. And we're looking, I put this bit about superfast broadband, and this is how things have changed so much. I'm looking at moving house at the moment, and I should have exchanged on Monday, so I'm stressed to the heavens at the moment. We will not actually move house unless we have superfast broadband, and I live in the country, and that's quite a challenge, especially when the house that my wife really wants is really nice, and I won't go there. So what's happening now? We don't have a fax machine. As a business, we just do not have a fax machine. And that does cause some problems sometimes, but we email everything or go through our secure portal. So communication, to communicate with me now, you can communicate with me via email, via LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Skype, FaceTime. When I was doing this presentation and boring my wife about it the other night, she said, "You've missed something really fundamental there." And you know what? It was the phone. We also communicate by phone. But to be honest, predominantly with my business, they're the forms of communication. And post, really our only post stuff is from the revenue. So the internet has taken over, and we get a lot of questions around security, why the cloud's not secure. But then when you start looking at what you actually do regarding the cloud, you shop online. Most of you have gone to Amazon, Tesco, Sainsbury's, etc. You bank online. You've probably got your mobile app. That's all online. You book for concert tickets, etc. online. Your social media is online. Most of your life is now online. So the security side of it, if you're going with a reputable company with your business, you will find that their security is second to none. And then the other thing that's changing, when I first started in business, I had to buy my software. You've got an upfront fee, normally a couple of £1,000. That's not it's not happening anymore. Most software that you buy for your business is software as a service, a SaaS. So you know exactly what one employee, what you're going to have, that's what it's going to cost for your license fee on a monthly basis. And I think that's quite important, and that's great. So you can turn it on and off as well whenever you want to. The only thing I would say is make sure you know that you can back up your data, that you can dump your data even on a different platform as well. So you've always got your data and it's yours. That's one bit of tip that I'd give you there. And it's all about being mobile. Your whole business really does need to be mobile. I've come here today, live near Cambridge, and I can sit in the coffee shop up there on my iPad and still work on my clients. You have to be mobile. And your clients want instant access to you. I put security cameras access remotely purely for the fact that I met a business the other day, and they serviced a particular, it was NCP car parks, or that sort of car parking, and they had a guy 24 hours at each area that they were looking after. And what they do now is they remotely look after it and have a team of people in a certain location that they can send out when the cameras trip. This is all, again, cloud-based technology working for your business. And I'm fascinated the way that this area is all working. And obviously you can fix my PC over the internet. I don't actually need to see an engineer anymore. And quite frankly, if something breaks on my PC, you buy a new one. Disposable world. So the times are changing, and the biggest thing, that I've seen recently is, my kids come through, is we Google it. Whatever we do, that's probably the biggest phrase used in our house. Let's Google it. So it's not looking at the Encyclopedia Britannica, the dictionary, and picking up the phone. We Google it. So I find that that's fascinating the way the times are changing there. And many businesses can now be duplicated online. So all I say to you out there, if you're looking at your business, what can you do online with it, and how can you duplicate it? My profession is slowly going into going online as well and duplicating what they do, especially around compliance online. The consumer is very, very price sensitive, and I take my profession on this. My accountancy profession is that everyone wants to pay less, but they want a lot more service. And the only way that you're going to develop that and deliver that really is to make sure that your services and your processes are all very slick and can be followed, and get your terms and conditions absolutely watertight. Must be mobile on all devices. I keep mentioning mobile, but you must make sure that your devices, your accessibility is all mobile, so you can take it with you wherever you are in the world. even on holiday, unfortunately. So you need to be accessible when you need to, and I've put at least appear to be. You don't have to be accessible, but as long as your clients think you're accessible, then that's absolutely fine. I've got, whilst I'm standing here, in my back office is basically a call answering service. So if someone phones my office, I have a call answering service. I pay that service. It costs me about £30 a month, and they're superb. No one would actually know that I wasn't about. And they are really, top dollar. Normally I schedule tweets, etc., going out. I haven't done that today, but normally I would do that. So again, it looks like you're about. And as long as people think you're about and you go back to them, then you're giving that full-on service. And most businesses do use the cloud. I'll go back to the shopping side of it. Most businesses use the cloud. Nowadays, if you do payroll, you have to do RTI. Real-time information, you've got to report that to the Inland Revenue every month. You do most of your banking online. I doubt there shouldn't be many of you in here that are actually still writing checks. And we deal with the Inland Revenue online. So most of the business that we do is online anyway. And another area which is, and this is an old survey, but the TUC, 13% more people are working from home. And I believe, doing a bit of research the other day, that that's actually increasing. And so, for my business, I can take my computer, move it anywhere else, I can use someone else's computer, and I can still work from home or wherever. So, in terms of the software we use, this is the cloud-based software that we use as a business. I don't know if any of you have seen Dropbox. That was the first bit of true cloud software we used. And by cloud, it's just hosted somewhere else and we get access to it. And Dropbox gives you effectively a hard drive in the cloud that you can access and you can drop files onto. I think you get about 15 gig of data free, and then you can pay, I think 100 gig further up and share it amongst employees. Industry-specific software, but cloud-based. I mean, you'll see I've got Digita there. That's what I use for my accounts production software. But I've just seen Sage's latest offering out there. And that's going to link to my Sage 1 software, and that's just fantastic. All cloud-based, everything you can do in the cloud. So you can do it at whatever site. Evernote, I don't know if you've ever come across Evernote. I love Evernote. Effectively, that's note-taking on the move, and you can sync it with every other device that you've got. So actually coming up here on the train, I wrote a blog for my website tomorrow on the benefits of entering a business awards. That I also shared with my wife to correct all my spelling and my grammar, and then that will go on our website tomorrow. I also did a press release for something I'm doing in my local town. Again, on Evernote, but it's sharing across all my devices so that I know that I can pick it up and use it. Social media, obviously cloud-based. I would say if you're using social media, look at Hootsuite. Hootsuite allows you to do your Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and other platforms all at once, and that's a really powerful product. DocuSign, I don't know if you've come across DocuSign, electronic digital signatures. That has transformed our business. That's probably the one bit of software that I've really, really shouted about. You send your terms of business out, it comes back electronically signed, legally binding. You send your direct debit mandates out, they come back electronically signed, approved by the bank. You're not worried about the post, and you've got your client engaged straight away. And I would say look at DocuSign. If you need people to sign it, it's a really brilliant service. TraceSmart. In my industry, I have to check people for money laundering regulations. Because I'm an online accountant, I don't often see my clients. So by not seeing them, I have to do enhanced money laundering checks, and TraceSmart does that. I think it cost me something like £150 for 100 checks, and that's great. It does all the CCJs, whether the client's at those premises or what have you. Again, it's online. And then Google. I could spend all day talking about Google. Google Drive, I wouldn't say is going to take over. We might even take over, but Google Drive is taking over from Dropbox, in my opinion. And I think they give 20 or 30 gig free. But the next part, Google Sheets and Google Docs, is taking over from Excel and Word. And the benefit that I get from Google Sheets is that I can share my spreadsheets with other people. And as an accountant, to be able to share your spreadsheet that you're working on for a client is very, very powerful. So the scenario I've got, and I've got one a little bit later, is whereby I got a building client, for argument's sake, and he was having problems with the way that his business was making it profits and what have you. I set up a spreadsheet of how to work that out. He's now put all the details in, and I'm seeing what he's doing at the same time or at a later date. And that is really, really powerful. Google Docs, I use Google Docs the same way I use Evernote as well. I use that with my marketing lady. Google Hangout, I did a Google Hangout recently with Sage. So basically you invite people to a Hangout, so you basically hang out with them. It's a bit too urban for me, but you still hang out with them. And you effectively, you're broadcasting to people like you are in this room, but they're all over the world. As long as they accept your Hangout, you can present to people and also interact if you want to, and that's quite good as well. And then your accounting software. We favour Sage 1 as a practice, and we've worked very closely with Sage on that. And my practice actually uses Sage 1 Extra. All my accounts are online, and I can also invoice my clients from my iPhone. And that's great fun because you can go there and do a VAT return if you're, or if you're doing something with a client, you say, right, I'm going to send you an invoice, and you do it there and then in front of them. You should see their face; it's brilliant. And that updates all your software, and you can also see where people are, etc. And then Sage 1 Payroll, from my point of view as an accountant, seeing other people's payroll, people obviously struggle with that area, and we can help them with that. We can do it with them. And just provide them with instant support. And that's what a lot of this is doing. It's all instant support. So and going on from that, that's the software we use, but the apps I use, again, I mentioned Hootsuite, brilliant for social media. Analytics Pro, it's a bit of I paid for this app. I don't pay for many, but I paid for this app, and this basically gives me my Google Analytics on my iPhone. When you start using social media properly, you'll start seeing where the spikes are and how your website's working. And if you have a look at my website, which is oneaccountsonline.co.uk, you'll see how important my website is to me at getting new business in. Sage 1 Invoicing on the Move, that's an app that Sage have developed for Sage 1. Spotify, nothing to do with business, but it's great in the background when I want to listen to my music. Paid service, I don't like the ads, so pay $5 a month, and I get all the music that I want. All of the other software that we've been using is all also on my iPhone, on my iPad, and other platforms using apps. So Evernote, Dropbox, Google Drive, Hangouts, etc. DocuSign is also an app. I've put something here that's industry specific to me as an accountant, but if you've got other businesses here, there are other industry specific. A very simple app this is. I put someone's number plate in this app, and it comes back with their CO2 emission. Now, that's fantastic, because that is also how we deal with their benefits in kind, etc. And you start looking around the 160 grams of CO2 emissions, and then you tell someone that they're 3 grams over because of this app. That does make quite a bit of difference in tax. So from an industry-specific point of view, a very simple app called My Car Check for anyone's doing P11Ds out there. MailChimp, we do quite a lot of marketing using mailouts, and we use MailChimp, and there's an app called MailChimp. When you send your mailings out, you can also check it all on an app and see how your mailings are actually doing, if people are opening it, if they're engaging with your electronic mail. I also do use the Sage's version, the ABC, which again is very good, but it hasn't got an app at the moment. Company's House, free app for Company's House, that is brilliant. I got everything's brilliant to me. Company's House app is free. You can check your company records and all the directors that are part of a company, and that's a good app. And HMRC are also online, especially with tax tables, etc. That's quite a nice little touch to another free app. Normally I do this presentation on my iPad, and I have a product called Keynote, which is another app, a paid-for app, which Apple do, and it's on my iPad, and you can do the presentation from that. So we're just using plain old Microsoft here, I think. No, we're not, it's Mac. So, just an example of how we brought this all together as my own practice. This is a new client this year, a guy that got made redundant and set up a bed company in one of our local towns. One of the things he had to do is get a new lease for his shop that he was opening. He was a brand new company. He's in an industry that traditionally has sort of boomed and bust. So he had a lot of problems in getting that lease. So we set up a spreadsheet, a cash flow forecast, shared it with him using Google Sheets, and he put in the things like the insurance, the lease money he was paying, what the solicitors were going to charge, etc. We set up the bare bones of it, gave him some guidance, and he filled it in. And then we just tidied it up when he'd finished, and he got the lease. So we're really, really pleased with that service. Again, all online. He wasn't local to me. He was elsewhere. He's on Sage 1 account, so I can monitor his business. Part of our service, we give a quarterly review. That quarterly review also enables us to vote dividends legally, so we can see where clients' profits are, and we can advise them on dividends that they can take. He's on Sage 1 payroll. He's got our director service there, and again, we do that for him, although he's now got some shop employees, and he can use the payroll for that as well. We set him up online using an online package. We use Companies Made Simple. Very simple, very, very good service, very cheap. So we set him up on that, and we registered him with the Inland Revenue online. And our limited company service includes all the registration. So he's a very happy client. I have the smiley face, and that was his testimonial to us, so I'm quite proud of that. So 10 reasons to take your accounts online, your business online, your record keeping online. Greater flexibility in terms of how you can work on your business. I've put beach, bar, bedroom, golf course. Sadly enough, the golf course is the only one I haven't done anything online. So yeah, my wife was away from the bedroom bit while and people sort of laugh about going on holiday and having to work, but sometimes some people can only go on holiday if they need to work, and this does give you that flexibility. Better efficiency. The online software does make people more efficient. We've just recently put this software the online software or online solution into a little plastering client that we got. Very small client, only turns over 60, 70,000 a year, doing everything manually, very old-fashioned in the way his approach was. Put him onto Sage 1 accounts, and they can't believe how they can see how their business is going. They look professional. They're sending emails out to their customers with their invoicing, and we're looking at it in the background as well. So it does give a lot of efficiency. Increased accessibility. Now, I think this is going to be a big area where your clients, your businesses are going to need to go online. A, your accountant can look at it. B, your bank can look at it if you want them to. But I met a lender the other day that's a small lender specialising in the sort of factoring type market, but a very small niche market. He will only take someone on if they put their accounts online, so he can see it day in, day out. I see, if the regulation allows, I see banks going the same way eventually. And that's going to be a huge change, a huge shift in the online market. And the bookkeepers, working with bookkeepers, you can work a lot smarter with bookkeepers. Most people want to send invoices out. Most businesses want to be in control of their invoices, getting their sales in. And they don't like bank recs, and they don't like paying people. Get the bookkeepers to do all that, because you can share your online account with them, and you do the bit you like. You pay less for bookkeeper, and you're in more control. And we're seeing a lot of that now. Improved decision making. It's in real time. It's not, I can say hysterical. It's not historical. We're not making decisions 6 months after you've dumped all the books on the 28th of January on your accountant. You're getting real time information, and from an accountant's point of view, we're getting our records in a lot earlier, and we're not that stressed in January. I'm quite looking forward to going to January and tweeting to all my accounting friends and saying that I'm in the Bahamas or something, because they'll love that. Clutter-free working. We bought a scanner. We bought a really cheap scanner, ScanSnap it's called, a HP scanner. We scan everything and we put it into folders in Dropbox. I've also got some document management software that helps me as well. And that just takes away the paperwork. Peace of mind, all the files are securely backed up. So if you've got online software, you are backing up your software all the time. It is in the cloud. In my opinion, it's very, very, very secure. And I have no issues over that at all. More cost-effective solutions. This is where our industry is suffering, I think, in not changing yet, is that the records are more accurate. Our terms and conditions state that they have to be in a certain condition, and therefore our fees are less. For a limited company, I don't mind sharing it, you go onto my website, you can see it. For a limited company, we charge £67 a month for a limited company set of accounts, annual return, one personal tax return, quarterly reviews, and any board and dividend vouchers that are required. That's part of our service, unlimited email and unlimited phone support. The software is very scalable. There's no transaction limits with Sage 1, the product we use, and it will grow with you. And our clients said certainly we've not had any issues over that. 24/7 support. This is why one of the reasons we chose Sage 1 is basically the support. 365 days a year, 24/7 support. We've not tested it on Christmas Day, but we have tested it on many other days that would appear to be inconvenient. The clients that we work on, the smaller clients we work on, do not want 9 to 5. They want to access you after hours, and they need support when it's convenient to them. As a business, as my business, I wouldn't do 24/7, but we are promoting our service with this support scenario here. So that's a whirlwind tour of us and what we're doing and how your business can look at and consider the cloud. So thank you very much. And do we have any questions? Thank you. Yeah? I think we've got Mike. Right.
What would be your number one tip to someone who works to help kind of improve efficiency in a person's workplace with regards to technology?
With regards to technology, I would say look at the cloud technology that is there to make you really, really mobile, and embrace it. Really do embrace it, and then get your procedures written down and follow them, stick to them, and be really, really strict over what you want as a business, and how your business is going to, really sort of look forward-facing to your clients.
How do you find your clients? Is it they see you online advertisements and they approach you, or?
How do I find my clients? Well, I am prolific on social media. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily get you new clients, but what it does, it gives a more human touch to that. I will put on social media about playing golf, walking the dog, kids, and all that sort of stuff, and that kind of makes you approachable. Then I do extensive networking. I do Google Hangouts. I try and go where there are more places that will have a lot of clients at them. So the banks and all that, I'll do talks for the banks to a group of people and that sort of stuff. So really it's a case of network the life out of it, really. On the networking side, just be a little bit careful on some of them, because some of them require a lot of expensive upfront fees, and you don't really need to do that. So just be careful on how you pick your networking.
How many clients do you have? Because you did the extensive on business.
Well, we started at the beginning of the year with 15, having moved from 900, and now we've got, I had said 46 on the chart, but it's actually 48.
Sorry. Yeah. Being handed the microphone. I'm interested because you're marketing yourself in a very online-centric manner, so you're likely to get clients who are, frankly, comfortable with the cloud inherently. A, is that the case? And B, if not, how are you what are the steps through which you persuade them that this really would be a good idea before they start to actually see that it really is?
Over my working life, I've always done technology. So all my clients, I very rarely take a client on that does manual records. So that barrier for me has already gone, already been overcome. In terms of the cloud thing, I was quite surprised. I mean, I look at traffic towards my website and where my age barriers are, and I thought that I would be attracting the sort of 18 to 25-year-old group that would be very comfortable with technology. I'm actually attracting the 35 to 50 age group, which I found fascinating in some stats that we looked at. So it seems to me that the cloud technology, as long as you tell them that the software is just a bit of accounting software hosted in the somewhere else, I don't get that many problems now. And quite frankly, my business model is only for that. So I'm very, very strict that I don't want anything else.
Thanks.
You have discussed about different apps and softwares. What app or software you're using for CRM or for managing your clients? Although right now it's not too many numbers, but in future it probably increases that these are the deadlines and these are the things for the clients.
Yes. And in terms of, this is basically CRM software, how do we get hold of clients? When we are bulk mailing, we use MailChimp, so a lot of CRM is on that. The software that we use called Digita has what's called a practice management solution, and that has a contact list on there. I used to use Act when Sage owned it, and we're considering Salesforce, but it's a little bit too big for us at the moment. But you know, CRM is really an important part, and you need something that you can certainly communicate to your clients with and record what they're doing. Yeah.
Suggest a cloud-based version we use to you afterwards.
No, please do. Please do, because I've been looking around for it. One thing that I have looked at as well, just to pass on to you, we're now looking at, we take direct debits and we use an outsource firm for that, but we're now looking at a company called Go Cardless, and that looks really good for direct debit taking. So something worth looking at is called Go Cardless.
Sorry, can I
That's right.
cheekily pitch my own thing here?
Please do.
Sage 1 has a whole bunch of add-ons, including some payment add-ons like
Yep.
SagePay itself. Go Cardless is no doubt about to be integrating, as they have with competing packages to
Yep.
Sage, into the Sage software so that it can all get interconnected. So I happen to be a company like that doing foreign exchange payments, but
Right, okay.
they're out there, and I'm pretty sure Go Cardless will be very shortly part of the Sage.
They're already on Sage 50.
Okay, yeah.
They're not on Sage 1 yet.
They're with
Yeah.
some of their competitors in there.
They are, yes. Yep. Yeah. I sent us an email to support this morning about that. Sorry.
How do your clients deal with the historical data? In the sense, do they all migrated to Sage 1 for you to be able to do their accounts, or
Yes.
do they have it on separate?
All of my clients, bar 2, are on Sage 1, and the other 2 are on 0.
Very costly to do the...
No, not at all. The clients that I've got, we put their trial balance on. So in the first year accounts, if it's mid-year, what we would do is we'd put the trial balance on up to the point of mid-year. We'd use whatever they're using in the background, plus what that trial balance for the year-end accounts. And then the next year, they're on Sage 1. Yeah.
Working on cloud, what was your biggest challenge, and what is the sort of risk you foresee in the future?
The biggest challenge for the cloud, because I'm fairly comfortable with technology, I didn't find the cloud side of it daunting. My biggest challenge from where I live is the internet connection. And I'm actually chairman of my local Chamber of Commerce, so we've done a lot of work around internet connection and mobile connection in terms of rural communities. And that probably is my biggest challenge. Although it doesn't need a great deal of broadband width. It does, I mean, my home only has 4 meg of broadband at the moment until we move. And it works on that fine. But that's probably my biggest challenge.
In terms of the future, what areas of it you sort of look for, like if you're planning or doing cloud?
I think that for the future that it's even more integration, and Sage have already started that in terms of accounts production. Once you get that even more integration, obviously from my point of view, my profit margins will go up. Also, there are products out there that will recognise receipts, etc. It's really getting a more automated and integrated process. I think that we're at the tip of the iceberg, really, to be honest.
I don't know whether you've used the Sage 50 accounts packet before. How do you see the difference in using these two, Sage 1 and Sage 50?
Okay. I'm actually accredited for Sage 50, so I'm one of the few accredited accountants in the UK for Sage 50, so I do install and train on that. It's a totally different product. It's designed, it's a brand new product, it's designed from the ground up. It's for the end user, so it's not necessarily for the accountant, it is for the end user. So I find it a lot easier to use. It's been a lot easier to implement and train on, because the support that you get is fantastic, and the training videos on the site are really good. But Sage 50 has a little bit of a different market, really. I see Sage 50 at the moment, it's got sales order processing, purchase order processing, full stock control. These are things that are not on Sage 1 at the moment. But the transition, certainly my Instant clients, anyone that was on Instant is now on Sage 1. And that transition wasn't that difficult. The only thing that they're not over happy about is that they lost history, although I believe there is an import routine. Yeah.
How do you get comfortable with the fact that you don't have physical backup? The cloud is like, how do you get comfortable with that? So that if Sage went bust,
yeah,
you don't have any.
I think that is a good point. What we do is when we go to the end of the year, there's a certain function on the back end of the Sage software which you can download all transactions. And what we do for our client is we download all the transactions. That's in a CSV format, and we just save it on Google Drive in their folder. So if they need that data, they can have it.
And how often do you do that?
Once a year, at year end. Yeah. We encourage them to do it themselves, but they don't. So at year end, we would do that. I think that if, I've put my whole business and sort of like my livelihood on this brand. So, for that to happen, I would be extremely disappointed, along with quite a lot of other people. But yeah, at least we have the data at a year-end basis. And I think that's really important when you're looking at online software, and because if you don't have that export function, which some software doesn't, then if you do, some people don't like the software. If they don't like it, then and they stop software as a service, they don't get access. So I think it's really important that they have that opportunity to dump it.
And in the right format.
Absolutely.
Not in a bespoke format.
No, CSV format. They can read it in the future then. You've got to keep it for 6 years anyway for the revenue. So.
Does Google Sheet have the advanced Excel features?
Sorry?
Does Google Sheet have all the advanced Excel features?
Not all of them, but depending on how advanced you are with Excel, it has all the features, from my point of view, to do it. Yeah, it does all the formulas, etc. Just a little bit different way of working, but it is very good. It's a very nice product. Yeah, worth looking at.
So what's the future strategy and growth of your business? Because is it just more of the same? Is it adding extra people alongside you on the practicing side?
Yeah, at the moment it's been tough because having gone from a sort of 16 staff and all these clients and being able to say, oh, can you do that? It's me doing it. 125 clients, a new member of staff, and that's the way the business model is working. My old business was my name. That was a wrong move because it was very difficult then to sell it if I wanted to. This name, the process I've got in the future, if I want to, it's franchisable. That's why it's done like that. Okay, thank you very much.